Good afternoon, friends, or good evening, friends. Today, we're going to talk on in-depth analysis of Unit Budget 2025. This is being so detailed that we have put many slides and PPT, which is not going to be discussed all. I'm going to take a major one, then we will take a call. If any issue regarding this budget, please email me at nitin@pathak@gmail.com. WhatsApp me. I'll answer it. There are many more PPT and YouTube presentation is available on my blog. Please join through that. Uh, this is intense 7th February, Friday, 6:30. Many more on 10th, Monday, 6:30 p.m. We are going to discuss in-depth economic survey, which will guide you what are the things you can take care in investment, where our industry is going, where AI is going, where our Indian youth is going, where foreign is there, which industry we should invest, what are the plan of BJP government, what is the 10-year target, 15-year target, 2047, whether we will be able to reach or not, how share market move, how USA policy is there, how China policy is there, how it will affect India, and how India is going to tackle about infrastructure project. Everything is discussed in detail there. So 10th, we're going to talk about that. Then uh, एक second. Why did I hide photo thing? Okay. 1 second. I'm back. 21st, we are going to have a sequel, Art of Investment, Stock 3. We have already covered 1 and 2, which is available in blog on YouTube. And we are going to cover 21st and 28. Because of if you go through this, you will have a perfect investment strategy in life, not only in stocks, but also in other field of the life. We are hiring a person. We are working on income tax, GST audit. We are taking article on CA, CS. We need PA, CA, CMA, become MCO finalist. We also need not who has passed CA but pursuing CA, but not completed. Uh, now going on to the budget specific. There are 87A, Section 87A. There are rate under Section 115 BAC. So in this slide, I have provided old slab, new slab, and 87A benefit, which is extended to 25,000 to 60,000. In old scheme, there is what is the difference between new regime? They have extended from 7 lakh to 12 lakh. This is a huge change, which is not digested by even anyone in the uh, which are not even hypothecated by so many persons. Now this 7 lakh has been increased to 12 lakh. So what would be the slab which is given on the blog? There is a link by which you can count which are the whether it is covered or not. Finance Act 25,000 for 87 lakh to 12 lakh, 25,000 to 60,000. 87A benefit would be available, but if there is a long-term gain or short-term gain, but you have to pay tax, this will not apply to that. So Sitaraman on the floor of House says that if you have a 12 lakh income, not including short-term and long-term gain, you don't have to pay tax. So old regime, so there are so many cases pending in last year, but they have to pay tax on short-term and long-term gain. So in nutshell, 8 lakh, 7 lakh to 12 lakh, 12 lakh no tax, and 87A benefit will be available. But if you have a short-term, long-term gain, you have to pay tax. This is the nutshell. This is a huge section they've added. If some persons are saying there is no change or minor change or less change as compared to others, but when you go on reading, my slide would be continuing up to 2.5 hours. I'm not going to cover it all, but if you read it, it will take 2.5 hours. So there is a major change. There are so many changes, but there is going to be new law coming soon, which is going to be put in Parliament. We will discuss in depth, section by section, after it is being introduced in the Parliament. Now I am coming to this 139(8)(a). पहले 2 साल तक आप रिवाइज रिटर्न भर सकते थे. Now it has been increased to 4 years. There is a form called ITR. You need to file it. You need to file ITRU. 139(4). Who can file a return, who cannot file a return is also explained here. An updated return is a type of return that allows taxpayer to file the return with more time. It is intended to encourage voluntary tax compliance. And an updated return can be filed by any person except certain circumstances which have been mentioned here as in a separate slide. So, पहले 2 साल का था, return can be filed. So the deadline for filing return for 31st March 2024 is 31st December 2024. But now you can file return up to 31st March 2025. You have to pay 25% tax plus interest. If you want to file a return of 31st March up to 31st March 25, then you have to pay 50% of the tax payable plus tax plus interest. 31st March 26, 60% plus interest. 31st March 27, 70% plus tax and interest. Now I have gone by, suppose assessment year 2022-23. Your last return, you can file the return up to 31st March 23. Okay. But now, up to 31st, 22-23, you can file an assessment year 22-23. You can file up to 31st March. 23-24, you can file up to 31st March 25. 24-25 to 31st March 2026. 25-26. So 3 more years. Okay, clear? 22 का deadline क्या होता है? This. Already lapsed, but now it has been extended for 4 years. This is the chart up to 4 months, 28, 29, 29, 30. This is huge benefit because the government does not want any lapses. क्या बोलते हो, voluntary compliance is the political donation is a huge subject which we have already in our YouTube presentation on political donation is also available. Please go through that also. When an updated return cannot be filed, if it is a return of a loss. So if it's loss, increased loss or decreased loss, you cannot file a return. In case if an updated return file has a lower tax liability, if you want to file a return, say updated return, your tax liability is reduced from 10 to 8, you cannot file a return. If an updated return result in increasing refund, so you are eligible for refund 10,000. Now, after revising return, it comes to 8,000. You cannot file a return. If 132 search is you cannot file a return. In the case of search or survey, your books of account, your entry in the books of account is passed, you cannot do it. In case of a survey, you cannot file. If your document or asset is size or acquisition, in case of any other person belong to this, you cannot file a return. If updated return is already filed, if you file ITRU once filed, you cannot file it again. If you have been issued a notice under 143, 147, 148, there are some, then you cannot file a return. If assessing officer has informed about the SSC under the specified Act, Benami Act, there are so many different acts. In that case, you cannot file a reverse return. If your information is received by the assessing officer and intimation is made to you, that we have gotten information that a DTAA or tax information exchange. Nowadays, whatever transaction you make with in some other country, there is a portal through which the information is coming. And through AI, government IT department is going to use it. Then you cannot do it. If any prosecution is pending, or government says if any class of person or person specified disability, you cannot file a return. When a taxpayer files a return, suppose I file a return on 31st March 24, it was a loss of maybe 1 crore. I use it 31st March 24. I use it in 31st March 25, all 1 crore. Then I have to file a revised return under section 1 for even 31st March 25, because now I cannot use that loss. That carried forward loss and carried forward depreciation, MAT credit, or it has been now reverse. Because of that, you need to file a revised return. Okay. When a taxpayer files an updated return of a previous year, as a result, the amount of following is reduced for a subsequent year. Taxpayer shall be required for an updated return for each subsequent year to ensure that the correct quantum of loss of carried forward is being used. Carried forward loss, carried forward upside deficit, MAT credit, or AMT credit. If the taxpayer has sustained a loss in any previous year and furnished a revised return of a loss in the prescribed within time allowed under 139(3) of the Act, the taxpayer shall be allowed to furnish an updated return of income, but you can never file an updated return of a loss. Therefore, whether taxpayer who has to furnish a loss origin can also file updated, but the condition it should disclose a positive income, not a loss. The time limit for completion of assessment and adopted return is also mentioned in section 153(1)(a). Section 153 of ITX says that where the ITR is furnished under section 139(8)(a) of the Act being updated return, an order under section 143, 140 may be made at the expiry or before the 12 months from the date on which they have filed a return. Suppose I file a revised return on 1st March 2024, then my return can be reopened up to 31st March 2025. That is at the end of the subsequent financial year. NSS, you know that NSS is closed. The Department of Economic Affairs by notification on 29th August provides that no interest will be paid on the balance after 1st October 2024. And NSS, if you withdraw NSS, it will be taxable and whole taxable. So government, there were a lot of representation will be made, and government considered the same and says that if you withdraw it, it will not be added to your taxable income as provided in the law. This amendment would be retrospective from 29th August 2024. So there were a lot of transfer pricing assessment is going on. And every year you are submitting the same transaction data, same details. So what the law has provided, the research of transfer pricing carrying out multi-year arm's length price determination. Transfer pricing provision enables the competition arising from an international transaction or specified domestic transaction with regard to arm's length price. So ALP is provided under section 92 to 90F. 92CA provides a procedural requirement for international taxation as well as specified domestic transaction to TPO. 92 provides competition arm's length price. This thing. The determination of ALP internal proceeds that AO initiate the ALP arm's length price to TPO with the permission of Principal Commissioner. Then TPO will conclude on the basis of his strength and send it to AO. AO on the basis of that 92-4 order will pass and ALP arm's length price assessment was done. So in many cases it was done year to year to year. What they say, ALP transactions mostly are the same for different years. It is therefore proposed to provide that the ALP determined in relation to an international transaction or a SDT for any previous year shall apply to similar transactions for the 2 consecutive years immediately following the previous year. What SSE can do? The SSE shall be required to exercise an option or options for the above effect in the form or in a manner as provided in subsection 3B or 92CA. TPO may, once you apply, TPO may buy an order within 1 month from the end of the month in which the option is exercised. Suppose I have exercised on 31st January 2025. He has to pass an order on 28th February 95. So within 1 month, in the month in which next month. Suppose I applied on 1st January 2025. Then also the date remains the same. TPO declares the option valid by the SSE, and then the question is over. You can do the assessment for 2 consecutive previous years, following the previous year in which the option is exercised. ALP is determined in relation to introduction transaction. The TPO shall examine and determine that ALP in relation to such similar transaction consecutive in the order referred in section 92 CA3. On receipt of such order, TPO or AO shall compute the total income of the SSE for such consecutive previous year as per the provision of section 21 of 155A. New section 94 this is. No reference of ALP shall be made. If any reference is made in such scenario before after the declaration of TPO, the provision shall have the effect as if no reference have been made. The provision of exercising option mentioned above is consecutive procedure and shall not apply to Chapter 14B. If any difficulty arises in giving effect to the 3B, subsection 3 and 4A of 93, the board may, with the previous approval of the central government guidelines, may be provided. So government does not want too many assessment. If assessment made, same assessment will be continued for the next year. 155 to 20A of the LP, arms repair shall be made to on the basis of order of a TPO. AO shall revise order under section 143(1), read with 92CA4, read with 146C5. 146C5 is a DRP proceeding which has been discussed. Such computation shall be done within 3 months from the end of the month in which such assessment is completed. In the first and second provision of section 4 of section 94C shall apply to such computation. Such recomputation shall be made within 3 months from the end of the month in which the order of passed. There was a provision of self-occupied house. If you got you can use it as your own. But if you got a 2 house, there was a reason being you being in the town, out of town, and your house remained vacant, then it would be deemed to be self-occupied. There was a provision, which is a draconian provision. They say that if you have a 2 house, 2 will be no reason need to be provided. If you are staying in the same society, same house, but 2 houses will be deemed to be self-occupied, and you don't have to pay tax as a deemed rented provision. This was a provision which was very menacing, but now they've established if you've got a 2 house and both in the same town, different place, even if you're staying in the same city and you give it rented, still it would be eligible for this thing. So you don't need to worry that ye house ka kya karna. Government wants to simplify. The further new law is coming, it would be so lucid. They have removed so many provisions. They want that today, how many of these are pending at a CIT level? And what are then? It is very difficult for them to dispose of because cost benefit for collecting the revenue is also taken care. So government could do anything, but they have to take care of the so many things. Now, this is crypto. Crypto is going to survive. Whatever you say, crypto is not going to go away. White Finance Act 2022, taxation of VDA has been introduced by the Income Tax Act under Section 115BBH of the Act, in which the transfer VDA is to be taxed at the rate of 30% with no deduction in respect of expenditure incurred for cost of other than cost of acquisition. Government recognize VDA, government recognize crypto, but they have not authentically allowed it as a means of transaction. Wide notification detection. VDA has been introduced in Income Tax Act under 115 BBH. It is to be taxed at 30% with sales price minus cost price, with no other expenditure like administrative expenditure, other expenditure incurred to do this. Interest expenditure will not be allowed as a deduction. To define VDA, Section 247 is being enhanced. There are so many digital assets would be considered as a VDA. Further, to capture the VDA transaction detail under Section 194 has been inserted in order to act to provide deduction or to the rate of 1% for transaction, whether it is in cash or crypto, either part crypto, crap cash, full cash, part in kind, part in cash. It would be a part 1% TDS will need to be deducted for sales transaction, not profit. Finance Act 2022. Taxation of VDA has been introduced with the IT Act under 115 BPH of the Act, which transfer the VDA is to be taxed at the rate of 30% with no deduction in respect of expenditure to be allowed. VDA under Section 247 was inserted in Section 2. Further, to capture VDA details under Section 184 has been inserted the Act to provide deduction of tax payment for the transfer of VDA at the rate of 1% as it occurs. I've already covered this. Under Section 285BAA, the certain entity is to report certain crypto asset in a form of a statement for such period within such time in such form as may be prescribed by the income tax authority. Under Section 285BAA1, once you furnish a defective detail, then he may intimate the defect furnished by the statement. An opportunity of rectifying within 30 days from the date of such intimation or further period may be allowed. If any defect, this shall be made by the person who make the inaccurate, who submitted the detailed entity, and he has to correct it, the information which is inaccurate. Subsection 3 said that where a person who is required to furnish a statement has not furnished the statement in specified time to the ITO, and notice may be given within such time he has to submit the detail. Section 4 said that any person having furnished a statement or in pursuance of notice issued comes to know that or discover that any inaccuracy in the information provided in the statement, he shall within a given time of information, ITO, inaccuracy in such statement, furnish the correction statement in such manner as prescribed. Subsection 5. Central government is authorized by rule to make such rule to the ITO or nature of information such maintained by the person, due diligence is carried out for the purpose of crypto asset. (247) AD, we state that the definition of virtual digital asset also include crypto asset, being a digital representation of value that relies on cryptographically secured distributed ledger or a similar technology to validate and secure the transaction, whether or already included in the definition of digital asset. The digital asset date is expanded. This amendment will be effective from 1st April 2026. That is financial year 25-26. Carried forward losses. The carried forward losses has been happening. The provisions relating to carry forward set of accumulated losses and unabsorbed depreciation and allowance in amalgamation or demerger. Section 72AA. In case of amalgamation, in case of reorganization, in case of merger, demerger, the loss was allowed to be carried forward for more than 8 years on the basis of new merging company. This provision has been used for the purpose of tax planning. Now, government says the whole 6 years or 4 years, when you could transfer it to a new company, loss will be allowed for only assessment year, whether it is a new company, proposed new company, amalgamation company, amalgamated company, merger company, demerger company. Nothing. It would be allowed for only 8 assessment year, starting from the assessment year in which the return is fine. So this provision has simplified this thing. Provision relating to carry forward and set off of accumulated loss and unabsorbed depreciation in case of allowance or demerger, in case of allowance in the case of scheme of in certain cases. Stop. This will be effective for 1st April 2025. Many times I've seen many of the, though there are very few cases, but very killer cases happening. And it's not like a rare case, but it's a case happening. एक आदमी ने टैक्स नहीं भरा, उसकी प्रॉपर्टी सीज कर देते हैं गवर्नमेंट. Then the government has to dispose of the property over a period of time, not within prescribed, not unlimited time. So you have not paid tax, property is attached, government to sell it off. Okay, as per schedule, second schedule. This second schedule is very important in many cases, and Rule 68B provides that the attached property tax for the purpose of tax must be completed within 7 years from the end of the financial year with the order of tax. 156 की डिमांड है, उसके सामने तुम्हारी प्रॉपर्टी एक्वायर की से 1st April 2000 से 1st January 2025. Then in the financial year in which it is completed, the financial year 24-25. Okay. Now there is 7 more years. 31st March 32 तक they have to sell it off. However, the board, the highest authority, can give it for another 3 years with written reason why they cannot sell the property within 3 years' time. Further, if the property required to be resold because the highest bid, the provided is less than that, then one more year. So financial year 7 plus 1, 3 plus 1. So this is a limit in which if it is not, the property will again go back to the person who is in default. Rule 68B prescribes the period within which the proceeding is stayed in order. What happens many times, the person in default goes to a court. Okay. So what are the period to be considered? What are the period not to be considered? This has been on board everywhere this section is implemented. This provision is implemented by or change is made so that there is any ambiguity may not be there. So I would cover this. These are the way the government calculated. However, there was an ambiguity regarding commencement date and the end date period stayed by an order of injunction by the court. What finance bills provide that? Commencing on the date on which the stay is granted. So I have been granted, say, by city civil court, say maybe High Court, maybe Supreme Court, or DRT, or any other court. The day in which the order is passed, injunction is passed, is the date on which the period would be excluded. And when stay is vacated, the date on which the stay is vacated would be the date on which the exempt stay is to be considered. The principal commissioner is the jurisdiction in which the stay is granted, the assess in default would be the place where principal commissioner is received. That period would be minus. Are you clear? The assess in default. I have covered in detail for the purpose of making you understand that different other places the same provision is there. The time limit for sale of attached property of immovable property for the purpose of casing assess in default. There is a significant changes made in section 275. I have explained in detail for explanation. But formerly, there was, before amendment, there were provision of section 1, 1A and 2. Now it would be section 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. there would be clauses, which is in subsection 1. Now there are 5 clauses, which means been more structured, changes in the time limited period. Now what they're saying, that within the amendment simplifies the time limit by introducing a single uniform rule. For penalty needs to be levied, if not levied during this period, within 6 months from the date on which the relevant order is made. Qua quarter. So here I give you an example. Okay. Order issued by CIT on 1/2/2017. Now, what is the date? 1st February 2017. What is the quarter? Quarter is March 31st March 2017. 6 months at. So post amendment in 30th September 2017, you need to levy the penalty. After that, if you levy the penalty, it will be a drop proceeding. ITT. Suppose order of ITT passed on 3rd May 2021. The quarter 30th June 2021. 6 months, 31st December 2021. Order revised under section 263. 3rd April, 30th June plus 6 months. So these are the way the counting is made. Order or enhancement of polity passed by the High Court. So this is a very simplified way of calculating. There are so many provisions in detail which I have gone it. I put it on a PPT, which I may not be concluding because I would be concluding my session in an hour. Rest, you will be able to get it on PPT. Rest, what I am talking, and any other question relating to any subject of IT, you can email me at nitin@gmail.com or at my WhatsApp. Just choose a WhatsApp. Extension of time limit for tax benefit to startups. The existing provision of 80 of the Interior provides for a deduction of an amount equal to 100% of the profit derived by an eligible business, by an eligible startup, with 3 consecutive years out of 10 years, beginning from the year of incorporation at the observe of the SSA, subject to the condition. Total turnover. Now this is in short been extended for another 5 years. Startup turnover less than not exceeding 1 crore. Certificate from interministerial. It is incorporated in 2016, but before 1st April 2025, and you can extend the benefit of startup up to 1st April 2030. This amendment will be effective from 1st April. Simplification. There are so many complications in charitable trust. I've seen many charitable trusts are suffering, but they are really doing a very good and social work. But when it comes to accounting, when it comes to audit, when it comes to the compliance, they are very weak because they are not as professional as MNC, and because of that they suffer a lot. But government tries to simplify the provision to a larger extent. But let us not go into the debate whether what government should do, what government should not do. But they have simplified a lot of things in this year. Agar income of any trust is registered under section 12A(b), exempt subject to the fulfillment of the following condition. अगर आपको 12A का benefit चाहिए, you have to provide the details as under section 12A में आपको एक application पड़ेगी to claim exemption under section 11 and 12. AB provides for a procedure related to approval and cancellation of registration for the trust or institution making an application under section 12A. Section 13 provides that the exemption under section 11 and 12 shall not be available to a trust or institution if trust or institution does not fulfill the conditions specified therein. Rationalization of specified violation for cancellation of registration of trust or institution. पहले ये लोगों ने प्रोविजन रखी थी कि इफ यू डोंट follow, apply, and your application is default, it would be rejected, and you will not be entitled for deduction rebate under section 12A. They said that some of the violations which are very small in nature, would not be considered as a major violation, and you can rectify the application, and you would be allowed to do, you would be allowed a deduction under section 12A. बराबर है? So there are 12AB, if some of the simple procedures. Okay. Explanation to subsection 4 of the said section specified violation inter means the cases where the application referred in clause AC 1 12A is not complete. It contains the false or incorrect information. It is therefore proposed to amend explanation 4 to section 12 so as to provide the situation where the application for registration institution is not complete and shall not be treated as specific violation. So they have given a whole detail that the small mistake trust does not suffer. So generally trust has to apply every 5 years. Now they have extended to 10 years whose turnover, whose limit does not exceed 5 crore for previous 2 years in the which your application needs to be made. Let me 12AB provides for registration of a trust or institution for a period of 5 years or provisional registration where activities have not been commenced at the time of filing application for a period of 3 years. At the expiry of such registration or provisional registration or king of provisional, if the activities of your trust cannot be commenced, the trust will be required to make an application for further registration. To reduce the compliance burden of a smaller trust, or it has been proposed to increase the validity of registration from 5 to 10 years in case of a trusted application under section 1 to 5 or other clause AC, with the total income of such trust without giving effect to the provision does not exceed 5 crore. This amendment will be effective from 1st April 2025. ट्रस्ट को काफी चीज में अपने ट्रस्ट और जो डोनर है और जो जिसका स्पेसिफाइड इंटरेस्ट है अगर उनको 50,000 की लिमिट थी सेक्शन 13(3) में इन्होंने मेजर चेंज किया है. प्रीवियस ईयर में एनी पर्सन हु हैज मेड ए सब्सटेंशियल कंट्रीब्यूशन 50,000 की लिमिट 1 करोड़ की है, 1 लाख की है, 1 lakh over a period of time, it is 10 lakh. Any relative or any concern है उस दोनों को निकाल दिया है. So to make it a simplification one, वो limit मैं फिर से पढ़ देता हूँ for the purpose of brevity, but 50,000 to 1 lakh, no relative, no concern will be considered for the purpose of section 13(3) to disqualify from the trust for the provision of draconian provision. Section 13 of the Act Inter provides that Section 11 shall not apply to exclude income of the total income if such income in yours or any income property trust is used or applied directly or indirectly for the benefit of referred. जो ट्रस्ट का जो पैसा है वो इनडायरेक्टली अफेक्टेड है. इफ इट इज मोर देन 1 लाख रिलेटिव को निकाल दिया, ये निकाल दिया. सो अगेन आई एम रीडिंग द न्यू प्रोविजन. A person referred to in section clause B of section 13 shall be any person whose total contribution to a trust during the year previous year exceed rupees 1 lakh or in aggregate to the previous year exceed rupees 10 lakh or as the case may be. Relative of such person as mentioned in 1 shall not be included in section 33. किसी ने डोनेशन दिया, कंट्रीब्यूशन दिया, इफ इट इज मोर देन 1 लाख, पर उसका रिलेटिव को अंदर नहीं लाया जाएगा. इसी तरह से इनके एनी कंसर्न इन विच ही इज कंसर्न एनी सच पर्सन इज ऑल्सो एक्सक्लूडेड. पहले रिलेटिव और एनी कंसर्न को भी अंदर सेक्शन 13(3) में डाला था. सो देयर इज ए मच मोर लिबरलाइजेशन in case of a person who make a contribution to the charitable trust. अभी आप जानते थे कि पहले एक 50,000 से ज्यादा किसी की सैलरी है and if is included for the purpose of benefit under section 17 subsection 2, the perquisite as mentioned in section 72 would be applied to the person who has salary more than 50,000 or C4 condition. But now 50,000 was the limit prescribed when Finance Act 2001 has come into picture. And अगर डायरेक्ट कोई एम्प्लॉई है जो ट्रैवल उसको खाली मेडिकल की वजह से करना था, मेडिकल ट्रीटमेंट, तो पहले 2 लाख की लिमिट थी, वो 2 लाख और 1,50,000 की लिमिट बढ़ाने के बजाय इन्होंने सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को एम्पावर किया, दे कैन डू इट अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर विशेस विम्स. Okay. So it is proposed the provision section may be amended to prescribe gross total income of employees. So they will exert more than 20,000 outside India. This amendment will be effect from 26, that is assessment year 26-27. So they can increase the limit according to the circumstances. Infrastructure development is the main focus. तो इसीलिए रियल इन्वेस्टमेंट ट्रस्ट और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फंड थे जो बिजनेस ट्रस्ट के हिसाब से इनकॉर्पोरेट होते थे. जब बिजनेस इनकॉर्पोरेट होते थे तो अगर कोई ट्रस्ट होता है तो इनको मैक्सिमम मार्जिनल रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट लगता है. बट दिस टाइप ऑफ ट्रस्ट विच इज अंडर दिस इज अंडर REIT एंड INVIT. ये जो ट्रस्ट है, जो बिजनेस ट्रस्ट, इसको स्पेसिफिक पर्पस व्हीकल के हिसाब से उसको इम्प्लीमेंट किया जाता है, तो उनको 115 UA लगता है, तो उनको STCG LTCG लगता था. बट इनको कोई और भी इनकम थी तो उनको भी मैक्सिमम मार्जिन नहीं और अपने हिसाब से जो नॉर्मल लगेगा, बिकॉज इट इज अ ट्रस्ट विच इज रिक्वायर्ड, तो ह्यूज फंड इज नीडेड. तो फंड को इकट्ठा करके ये इस तरह से लगाते हैं. पहले आप जानते थे कि 206AB 206CCA जब हम रिटर्न भरते, TDS के रिटर्न भरते थे, तो ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट डेटा वी वर गेटिंग ए नोटिस ऑफ मल्टीपल नोटिसेस दैट आपका ये पर्सन है, उसने रिटर्न नहीं भरा है, उसका पान नंबर एक्टिव नहीं है, उनका ये उन्होंने 2 साल से रिटर्न नहीं भरा है, उसकी वजह से हमको टैक्स ज्यादा लगता था. बट दैट हैड बीन रिमूव्ड बिकॉज ऑफ द प्रैक्टिकल डिफिकल्टी फॉर द पर्सन टू टेक केयर ऑफ दैट. 206AB which provide the deduction at higher rate failed to furnish his return of income for a specified is proposed to be omitted. Consequently, 194S has been debited. Specified for collection of taxes for non-filer. This is also removed. The one more thing under section 206C1G. The threshold limit prescribed for the purpose of liberalized scheme has been increased from 7 lakh to 10 lakh. It is proposed that authorizers and dealers shall not collect TCS under section 2061G if the payment is made for the education loan taken for the purpose of study. अगर ये एजुकेशन लोन के अकाउंट में पैसा आता है फॉरेन से, तो you don't have to deduct TDS from that. 2067A provides that a person shall not be deemed to be an SSE in default or failure to collect a tax after 6 years from the end of the financial year in which the tax is collected, or 2 years from the date on which the correction is made. As on 1st January 2024, I'd say 25, I have not deducted TDS from my employee. Now, if I have to do, I'm supposed to deduct TDS and pay it to by 31st March 2025. Now, up to 31st March 2031, I did not do it. And then if somebody comes and asks me, I will not be considered an SSA in default. It has to be done over a period of up to 31st March 2. If any correction statement is made, and I have been asked to do so, that the date of statement plus 2 years will be considered. Otherwise, I will not be considered as SSA in default qua 2067A. This provision does not provide proceeding related to TCS state by the court. There is a provision 6(2) I have already covered. Rationalization of a tax capital transfer of capital by non-resident. There was a provision by which I covered all different provisions. Let me read this provision and then 10% कभी ज्यादा लगता तो उन्होंने रेशनलाइज करके 12.5 कर दिया. This is like they don't want to distribute too much among them, but let us take it as existing provision of 115 AD tax on income of FII for security capital gain arising for their transfer. For the purpose of FII, when they buy and sell the shares frequently, and there were many times there was a debate as they are selling time and again and purchasing them, it should not be considered as a capital asset, but government, by this definition, FII invest in a capital asset, it would, even if they are selling and buying frequently, it will not be considered as a business asset and would be deemed to be considered a capital asset. To accommodate the same, the capital asset definition has been changed for the purpose of FII this way. Now, this is not the same provision here. The existing provision of 115AD of the Act provides that where the total income of a specified fund or FII, income received in respect of security other than unit referred in section 115AB or income by of STCG and LTCG, such security, income tax on the income by of LTCG referred to in clause B shall be calculated at the rate of 10%. There are 6 categories of specified fund. मैंने आपको जो ऊपर वाला बताया वो FII 115AB units purchase for the purpose of foreign currency. If I buy a unit or shares, I buy on X rate. Suppose I invested at 50 lakh at the rate of 50 and rupees 1 lakh invested. Today my price is, today I have got 1 crore. But if I convert 80 lakh is my 1 lakh, again I go to 80 rupees, so my capital gain would be 20 lakh only because it is to $20,000. इस तरह से 1 lakh 50 50 1 crore 1 crore is this way. So it would be converted into currency at today's rate, and that would be the way 112A calculation is made. 112A, 111A, 111A, and 111AD. 194LD is for government security. Amendment in section 1D to bring it parity, it would be liable at 12.5%. That is LTCG 115AB and 12AA. NPS Vatsalya was launched from 18 September 2024. The minor whose account is open and if that money is invested in NPS, it would be available as EET. And minor, until he become minor, it would be remain in the minor. In case he requires, we withdraw the money for some X purpose, up to 25% of that money will be available for the purpose of this thing, and on that EET will not be applicable. The rest, it will be considered EET as in the normal case. So this is regarding NPS Vatsalya scheme officially launched on 18 September 2024, enable the parent and guardian to start an NPS account for the children. Okay, minor up to 18 years, then it will be transferred to his account. It will be considered NPS 2 as per all citizen model tier 1. I've already covered 25%. I've covered EET 15%, 75%, and this scheme of presumptive tax is applicable. You know, many foreigners who are non-resident are investing for the purpose of creating a manufacturing capacity for technology, deploying their manpower, deploying the support service, deploying the manufacturing facility. They are also covered under Section 44 BBD. Now, on the basis of their total receipt, amount received, amount receivable, amount paid or amount payable to non-resident on account of service, technology, or other facility would be considered as non-resident business. They would be liable at the rate of 25% tax without keeping books of account, and ineffectively they have to pay 10% of the gross received as a tax. And they would be liable at this scheme will be effective from assessment year 26-27, that is first April 2025. Any transaction happen, this would be available under section 44 BBD. You know that chapter 12G was there as per tonnage tax scheme has been brought by section 2004 by Finance Act 2004 in order to promote Indian shipping industry. By qualifying shipping company were given a choice to tax on the basis of tonnage tax regime and continue to remain in a normal corporate tax regime. Therefore, to promote inland water transportation in the country to attract investment in the sector, it is proposed to extend the benefit of tonnage scheme to Indian vessel registered under Inland Vessel Act 2021. Accordingly, inland vessels have been included in section 115 VD for being eligible for a qualified ship. Further, inland vessels have been defined in section 115 fee of the Act in the same manner as provided in Indian Vessel Act. Other corresponding argument have been made, other amendment have been made in section tonnage tax scheme. This would be effective again from AY 26-27. Now, how to apply for 115 VP? 115 VP of the Act pertains to the method and the time of opting tonnage scheme under the tonnage income of an SSC shall be computed in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 12G. Okay, you have to apply under Section 15 Act applies. Qualifying company may opt for the tonnage scheme may make the application to Joint Commissioner. Joint Commissioner will, on the receipt of the call for any information which he may deem fit, he would pass an order for approval. If it's not approved, he would give a reasonable opportunity. And once it is approved, order will be passed either approving or rejecting. He has to do it within 1 month of the end of the month in which application is made. Suppose I made an application on 7th February, he has to make it or before 31st March 2025. Application made, he can ask for the details. According to address the issue, it is proposed to before the expiry of 3 months from the quarter in which such application is received. This amendment is effective from 1st April 2025. Business connection. Harmonize significant business connection. Anyone, therefore, it is proposed section expression 2A of section 9, so that transaction or activity of a non-resident which are confined to purchase of goods for the purpose of export shall constitute a significant economic presence of such non-resident India. This will bring its coherence with explanation 1 to clause 1 of section 9(1)(1). This amendment will take effect from 1/26. Any activity done for the purpose of exporting the business and they are importing the goods will not be exempt for tax. If therefore purchase of goods in India for the purpose of export, अगर इंडिया से परचेस करके एक्सपोर्ट करते हो तो यू आर नॉट लायबल फॉर टैक्स एंड नो बिजनेस कनेक्शन विद established. Capital asset, I already covered in my earlier discussion that SEBI has provided an FII who are buying and selling would be still considered as a capital asset and to include the property any kind or not connected with business or profession, only considered as this thing. Section 214 of the Act, the term capital asset. ULIP is considered as a capital asset. When any insurance policy, it is there proposed to rationalize the provision of ULIP. ULIP, which exemption under section 10D is applied, is considered as a capital asset. Profit and gain arising from ULIP, to which exemption under section does not apply, shall be chargeable to tax under section capital gain. ULIP, to which exemption under section D does not apply, shall be included in the definition of economic oriented fund. I give an example. I invested 1 lakh over 1 lakh for 10 years. My investment is 1 lakh. Administrative charges is 5,000. 5,000 is mortality charges, and my 90,000 is every year invested. My total investment in over a period of time is 90,000. 90 into 10, 9 lakh. And if I get around 1 crore because of investment in capital, 1 crore minus 9 lakh would be considered as long-term capital gain. This is the section ULIP is saying. Again, okay, clear ULIP? Reduction in compliance burden of omission of TCS on sale of specified goods. पहले जो 50,000 से ऊपर से सेक्शन 2061H have been removed. 50 लाख से ऊपर है उसको टैक्स भरने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. रेशनलाइजेशन ऑफ टीडीएस की प्रोविजन जो है इसने काफी अमाउंट से रिड्यूस कर दिया है. One of them is 194 LBC for securitization of trust to investor. जो उनको पहले जो टैक्स था 25 and 30% to now it's been reduced to 10%. This amendment will take effect from 1st April 2025. मैं अभी आपको सेक्शन से यहीं से बोल दूंगा. इंटरेस्ट ऑन सिक्योरिटी, अभी कोई भी इंटरेस्ट ऑन सिक्योरिटी था 0 पे टैक्स था, इन्होंने इसको लिमिट बढ़ा के 10,000 कर दिया. Up to 10,000 threshold limit, any interest on security up to rupees 10,000, you don't have to pay tax. सीनियर सिटीजन को जो इंटरेस्ट की इनकम थी जो 50,000 थी वो बढ़ा के 1 लाख कर दिया. सेम वे एनी अदर पर्सन, पहले 40,000 रुपए तक बैंक की एफडी है तो टैक्स नहीं लगता था. नाउ इट हैज बीन इंक्रीज टू 50,000. बराबर है. 40,000 केस ऑफ व्हेन पेयर इज अ बैंक, कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी और पोस्ट ऑफिस. 5,000 इन अदर केस. अगर मैंने किसी से पर्सनल बोरो किया है तो 5,000 था, इसको इंक्रीज करके 10,000 किया. डिविडेंड की लिमिट पहले 5,000 थी, उसकी 10,000 कर दिया. 184 इनकम इन रिस्पेक्ट ऑफ यूनिट ऑफ ए म्यूचुअल फंड और स्पेसिफाइड कंपनी और अंडरटेकिंग 5,000 का 10,000 कर दिया. विनिंग फ्रॉम लॉटरी, क्रॉसवर्ड पजल, विच जो पहले 10,000 था उनको 10,000 पर इन रिस्पेक्ट ऑफ पर ट्रांजैक्शन कर दिया, एग्रीगेट था. अगर एक सिंगल ट्रांजैक्शन 10,000 से ऊपर है तभी आपको टीडीएस लगेगा इन केस ऑफ विनिंग फ्रॉम लॉटरी, क्रॉसवर्ड पजल. पहले टोटल देखा जाता था, अब पर ट्रांजैक्शन सिंगल ट्रांजैक्शन देखा जाएगा. इट वाज वेरी डिफिकल्ट कि किसको कितना पैसा दिया विनिंग फ्रॉम लॉस में. अगर क्रॉसवर्ड पजल एक गुजरात समाचार चलाता है, एक संदेश चलाता है, एक टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया चलाता है, ना ऑलरेडी ऑनलाइन लॉट ऑफ पोर्टल इज देयर, हाउ दे वुड बी एबल टू कंपेयर किसको 10,000 एग्रीगेट हुआ कि नहीं. नाउ दिस इज सिंपल, ओनली वन ट्रांजैक्शन 10,000 चलेगा. एक ही इंडिविजुअल का एक से ज्यादा है तो भी निकल जाएगा. इंश्योरेंस कमीशन 15 to 20,000. इनकम बाय वे ऑफ ए कमीशन और प्राइस 15 to 20. कमीशन ब्रोकेज 15 से 20. मेजर बेनिफिट इज हियर. अगर किसी का 2,40,000 से ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट इन फाइनेंशियल होता था तो दे डोंट हैव टू पे, दे हैव टू पे टीडीएस करता था. अभी इन्होंने लिमिट 50,000 पर मंथ. अगर किसी ने 50,000 पर मंथ और पार्ट ऑफ ए मंथ अगर रेंट होता है तो एवरी टाइम यू डोंट हैव टू वेट फॉर अप टू 2,40,000. एग्जैक्ट 50,000 से ऊपर आपका पर मंथ का रेंट होता है और पार्ट ऑफ मंथ. सपोज मैंने किसी को 15 दिन के लिया 25,000, दैट केस आल्सो हैव टू डिडक्ट टीडीएस. पहले 20,000 था, 40 से उसका लिमिट उन्होंने बढ़ा दिया. टेक्निकल प्रोफेशनल 30 से 50 कर दिया. एनहांस कॉम्पेंसेशन 2,50,000 से 5 लाख कर दिया. I am not going into detail of every section which I have written here. 193, 194, but it is available. There are a lot of presentation. I have picked it on PPT. I will put it on the blog. You can use it for your academic purpose. Now I have again bifurcated interest into the current threshold limit is 40,000. Propose this current threshold. This a banking company जो 40, 50, 50, कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी 40, 50, 50, 1 लाख. पोस्ट ऑफिस एनी अदर केस, कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी जो आगे था उसका एक्सटेंशन है, बट इट इज गिवन इन डिटेल फॉर एनीवन टू अंडरस्टैंड. वो मैं उस टाइम बोल के गया था, बट हियर मैंने यहाँ एक बार फिर से लिख के रखा है. winning from lottery, winning from horse race, insurance commission, commission on sale of lottery, house commission brokerage, रेंट 50 बोल दिया. प्रोफेशनल प्रोफेशनल फिर से यही है, बट यहाँ खाली डिफरेंस है एफटीएस, रॉयल्टी एंड एनी अदर अंडर दिस स्कीम. फीस फॉर प्रोफेशनल, फीस फॉर टेक्निकल सर्विसेज, रॉयल्टी इज इंक्लूडेड. Income in respect of units, payment of compensation already covered. Forest produce has been formalized. लोगों की बहुत कंप्लेन थी कि हमको ट्रेडर था उसको भी फॉरेस्ट प्रोड्यूस करके टैक्स लगाया जाता था. तो उन्होंने एक्ट में प्रोविजन डाल दिया कि फॉरेस्ट प्रोड्यूस की डेफिनेशन इट शैल बी यूज्ड एज डिफाइंड इन स्टेट एक्ट फॉर द टाइम बीइंग और इन द इंडियन फॉरेस्ट एक्ट 2027. फॉरेस्ट प्रोड्यूस की पहले डेफिनेशन थी टिम्बर ऑब्टेन अंडर ए फॉरेस्ट लीज, टिम्बर ऑब्टेन बाय एनी मोड अदर देन ए फॉरेस्ट लीज. अगर टिम्बर है आपने फॉरेस्ट लीज से लिया, कहीं भी लिया, it will be considered as a forest produce. But any other produce not being a timber, this thing. अगर इसके सिवाय टम्बर के इसके सिवाय भी कोई प्रोड्यूस है तो वॉट एवर इट विल बी कंसिडर्ड एज फॉरेस्ट प्रोड्यूस. फॉरेस्ट प्रोड्यूस की डेफिनेशन उन्होंने दी ही नहीं थी, इसलिए और इन्होंने इसको फॉरेस्ट प्रोड्यूस की डेफिनेशन दी और उसके पहले जो टीडीएस था 2.5% था उनको रिड्यूस करके 2% कर दिया. timber 2.5 to 2%, timber another mode. ये जो ब्लॉक असेसमेंट में कभी कभी क्या इशू होता था कि सम चेंजेस नीड्स टू बी मेड. तो ब्लॉक असेसमेंट अगर आप चैप्टर 14 को पढ़ोगे, इसका एग्जांपल मैंने यहाँ रखा नहीं है पीपीटी में, बट व्हेन आई मेक अ फाइनल पीपीटी आई विल मेक इट मूव दैट यू विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस प्रोविजन 145, 180, 158 BA. You will be able to understand through the example which I have provided. It is like required to be made. There are many times multiple search because आपका तो वो पहली सर्च में जो आपने डिक्लेयर किया, दूसरी सर्च में डिक्लेयर किया, ये सब यहाँ आमने सामने एडजस्ट हो जाएगी. इसके लिए फर्स्ट का असेसमेंट अलग हो गए, सेकंड का असेसमेंट अलग हो गए. तो दिस इज द कैलकुलेशन विच आई एम नॉट प्रोवाइडिंग बट आई विल बी प्रोवाइडिंग लेटर ऑन. 158 BB, 158 BB3, Section 158 provides the time limit for completion of block assessment is 12 months from the one in which the authorization is made. Hence, the time limit for completion of block is proposed to be made is 12 months from the end of the quarter in which last authorization has been executed. Hence, the time limit for completion of block is proposed to be made as 12 months from the end of the quarter in which मन पे हुई अपने जन बेटा कंप्यूटर मार घरे ले जाओ. Hence, the time limit for completion of block is proposed to be made as 12 months from that of quarter in which the last of the authorization search is made. That is that like they have made a simplicity in making different block assessment. So जो क्वार्टर में है उसके 12 months के अंदर assessment complete होना चाहिए. And the time limit for completion proposed to be made is 12 months from the end of the quarter in which the last authorization has been made. For example, मेरा last authorization is 7th February 2025 है. So my quarter is 31st March 2025. So my assessment should be completed on 31st March 2026. This amendment will be effective for 1st February 2025. So this is immediately what date. Non-applicability of the penalty where search has been initiated. There is a proposed amendment in section 271 AAB of the provide that provision shall not be made applicable to the whole case the search has been initiated under section 132 or after first day of September 25. In that case, this amendment will not be effective. For September. Amendment proposed in section 132 and 132 be rationalizing the provision. Let me go through it. Section 132 of the Act relates to search and seizure. As per the provision of subsection 8 of 132, last date of taking approval for retention of the seized book or other document are 30 days from the date of assessment, reassessment, or recomputation. In the course of such assessment proceeding, the group the assessment order one may be passed earlier than the other one. Further, segregation of these books upon other documents pertaining to various assessments are difficult in such premises as well as. It is also a case of seized account or other document pertaining to complete assessment may be required for the assessment ongoing and pending assessment. Since the time limit for taking approval or retention will be different in different cases, the SAG officer are required to have constant vision on floating time barring date and the burden which was avoidable. So what they say, therefore, propose amendment to provide that the time limit for taking approval for retention of book retention shall be 1 month from the end of the quarter in which the assessment, reassessment, computation has been made. Suppose my assessment order is on 7th February 2025. So my quarter is ending on 31st March 2025. So my books under section 182A requires an approval on 30th April 2025. So they have rationalized qua quarter, qua month this way. Expression 132.1 defines the circumstances in which the last of others is declared in order to align authorization with this thing. Explanation 1 to 132b of the execution of an authorization for such a requisition shall have the same meaning as this thing. This amendment will be effective from 1st April 2025. Clarification regarding commencement date, which I've already covered in my last talk at some stage, where this is commencement of the date will be commencement of the date on which the injection order is given, and the completion date would be the end of the date of period of the court on which the paper is submitted to the principal commissioner or commissioner for the purpose. This period would be deleted for the purpose of calculating the approval period. Now I am explaining you section, but मोटा इंजेक्शन ऑर्डर कब मिला, स्टे ऑर्डर कब मिला, एंड स्टे ऑर्डर पास, स्टे ऑर्डर वैकेट हो गया, एंड the date of certified copy of order received by the principal commissioner or commissioner of the jurisdiction. ये जो period है वो निकल जाएगा. Clarification regarding commencement date and the end of the period of stayed by the court. Section 144BA, 153, 153B, 150BE, 150BE, BFA, 263, 267, Rule 662, like Interior provides the period which the respective process stayed in order or injunction shall be excluded for the purpose of time limit. However, there was an ambiguity regarding commencement date and the end date by an order of injunction with a view to remove ambiguity. Exclude the period of commencement the date which stay were granted an order of injunction by the court and ending on the date on which is received. (2067A) I've already covered. मैंने किसी का 1 जनवरी 2025 में मेरे को टैक्स काटना रह गया. Now it will be 31st March 2025, the financial year ending on that. After that, 6 year to 31st March 31, and another 2 years when the correction sheet is sent, it will be considered as a part of this. Exemption for prosecution for delayed payment in case of TCS in certain cases. आपका जो TCS भरना रह गया as per section 2063, जिस दिन आपने रिटर्न भरना था उसमें उस टाइम आपने अगर रिटर्न भरते टाइम अगर ये रिटर्न भर दिया for the quarter ending on that, then it would be deemed to be the paper have been submitted, and for that no prosecution will be done if you file the return as per section 206C3 quarter ending on that. Okay? This is qua TCS. If you are not paid chalan in time, there was a prosecution, but in this case, prosecution will not be done. In that case, there was a penalty, was a heavy prosecution. Certain penalties have been regularized, not regularized, but has been simple. 271C, 271CA, 271D, 271DA, 271DB, 271E. Interior provides the penalty and decision shall be imposed by joint committee. Though assessment on such case were made by AO, this section were being imposed by the joint committee. In order to rationalize the section, the penalty shall be levied by the assessing officer under section 274(2). Thus, the assessor shall take prior approval of joint commissioner and can make the penalty, which was supposed to be by the joint commissioner. 271BB is omitted because 88 is already no more in picture. So that section will not be there in the statute from 1st April 2025. Removing the date of registration of framing the scheme. 92CA, 144C, 253, 255. There was a provision. They want to make it as simple as possible. Qua faceless assessment. They were changing the dates. They were postponing. There are rules to be framed. The government says we can make the rule for any time for the purpose of this 92 CA, TP Act, DRP, appellate, procedure for appellate. They want to make it as seamless, faceless. So the rules can be framed anytime has been removing the limit. Extending the processing period of application immunity from penalty. Penalty proceeding has to be finished in period provided in the time. But now what they said, that provision being extended for 3 months from the end of the month which the application is received by the SSO. This time application mili hai. Let me read the section, but mota extend the period of 3 months from the end of the month in which the application for immunity. Suppose I have made an application 7th February 2025. Then they have to pass an order within 3 months. 28th February plus 3 months. March, April, May, 30th May के पहले उनको ये dispose करना पड़ेगा immunity. Now let me read the section. 270A of the Act Interior Procedure for granting immunity by assessing officer for imposing the penalty prosecution. Subsection 2 of the said section provides that an application for granting immunity from imposition of penalty shall be made within 1 month from the end of the month in which this made. Subsection 4 of the said section, except to receive the application within a period of 1 month from the month in which the application is made. Inputs have been received from stakeholder. In view of the same, proposed section has been amended. Section 4 of 70 to extend the processing period to 3 months from the end of the month in which the provision for immunity has been received. पेनल्टी मैंने ऑलरेडी कवर कर दिया है 6 months. मैंने पहले एक स्लाइड में ये ले लिया है. So I'm not going to cover in this. This is detailed. 6 are already covered. 58 AB block assessment already covered. IFSC, there are IFSC exemption being extended for 5 years. That is for clause ATL A4D, 4F, 4H, and ATL A, section 10 4D, section 10D, 10 4F, 4H, section clause 47 6D, section 10D, which I already covered here. There is no limit to even this provision of 4th, 5th, and 6th provision. Provide the exemption, not over annual income premium. 10H, 10-4H, 1034B, aircraft leasing, IFSC provision. Dividend is also tax-free. Section 9 fund manager activity carried out through an eligible for acting on behalf of this thing. IFSC. IFSC is a huge subject on its own. I have mentioned here, but I'm not going to discuss it here. Upcoming event, 7th February, we are going to, this is today's talk, in-depth analysis of union budget. I've already covered this. PPT will be available to you on blog. Nitin and Pathak blogspot.com. I am again taking economic survey on 10th. 21st, I'm going to talk on art of investing in stock market. Another sequel. This 2 is already there on the blog. Now, this will give you how you can invest in stock market. We are having an article of CA, CMA, CS. We need a CA, CMA, CS finalist. We need a BCom and MCom who are very first class. We are into business of this kind, where they would have a very good opportunity to learn on different subjects. Thank you very much. More detail on blog, Nitin and Pathak blogspot.com. I am also very passionate about my grace of God, my Guru, my mentor, Pradeep Mukherjee. You can hear him at alaggod.com. With this, we again meet on 10th on the same subject. Thank you very much.